Welcome to the first section in our course, Getting Started with Python Web Scraping. This section is called Scraping with Selenium. In this section, I assure you we will cover Selenium. But before we do that, we're going to discuss circumstances in which you might want to web scrape and why it's a valuable skill. We will also spend a good amount of time first covering how websites work and what they're made of. Without knowing this, it's impossible to write code to interact with them for you. And after that, we will install a WebDriver. This is the tool needed to web scrape with Selenium. Then we will walk through a basic example of web scraping, and I will discuss the technical aspects and the thought process as we go. Finally, we will conclude with discussing the ethics and legality of web scraping, and your responsibilities not only as a programmer, but as a person. Welcome to the first video in this section called When to Web Scrape. In this video, we're going to talk about some prerequisite knowledge we need and some system requirements that we'll also need. We'll also discuss when and why to consider web scraping and what makes the skill so valuable. Before we begin, this course assumes that you already have some foundation in Python programming, or even just programming in general. We also assume that you have Python installed, and that you know how to install Python modules using pip. I will be using Python 3.4 for this section, and I recommend you using the same version. I will also be using a Windows 10 PC, but the process will be the same, except for maybe some syntax in the events where we might be saving or loading files and code. Let's talk about why you might want to web scrape. Let's say you need some data. Maybe it's sports statistics, maybe it's job listings, maybe you want to compare prices across certain competitors. The main takeaway from this course is that there's usually a more efficient way to get this data than doing it manually. You might want to write a program to repeatedly retrieve data in case it's being updated somewhere, or it might just be way too tedious for you to have to go through and copy and paste each relevant piece of data by hand into an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. This is where web scraping comes in. This tool will allow us to automate the process of gathering data from the internet and be more productive in our day-to-day personal and professional lives. Moreover, after familiarizing yourself with web scraping, it also shapes how you view websites and the internet in general. You begin to see it as an easier source of data, which means you're more likely to be interested in accumulating information and doing some of your own comparisons, or visualizations, or analysis. This leads to making more numerical and informed decisions in the long run. So it's a really cool tool, and it's a valuable skill to learn regardless of your field of work. In the next video, we're going to discuss what makes up a website and how to interact with them through code.